Beskar. Beskar is the legendary armor material worn by Mandalorians, known for its near impenetrable properties and its deep cultural significance. Often referred to as Mandalorian iron, Beskar is incredibly durable and resistant to blaster fire, lightsabers, and most other forms of attack. It's one of the few materials capable of withstanding a lightsaber strike, making it the most coveted and iconic material in Mandalorian culture. The material is usually crafted into Mandalorian armor, often called Beskar gum, which includes the traditional helmet, chest plates, gauntlets, and other pieces. Beskar armor isn't just about protection, it's a symbol of Mandalorian identity, strength, and pride. A Mandalorian's armor is a personal statement, reflecting their heritage, family, and status within their culture. Beskar is so important that the Mandalorians have a long history of protecting it. It's been used for thousands of years, dating back to the era of the Mandalorian Wars, and even during the Great Sith War. It's what allowed Mandalorians to challenge the Jedi and even hold their ground against Sith. The Mandalorians' ability to forge and refine Beskar made them a feared and respected force in the galaxy. Throughout history, Beskar has been used to forge not just armor, but also weapons, like the Darksaber, a unique lightsaber made entirely from Beskar. Mandalorians also use Beskar to craft small weapons and tools, giving them a distinct advantage in combat. Not all Beskar is created equal, though. Some of it is refined into pure, high-quality forms, while other pieces may be imperfect or damaged over time. This is why Mandalorians, like the Armorer, are so skilled at forging and reforging Beskar, making sure each piece of armor is as strong as possible. Beskar isn't just for battle. It's a representation of Mandalorian unity and honor. Every Mandalorian, whether they are a warrior, a bounty hunter, or a child of the Watch, respects the power and significance of Beskar, ensuring that the legacy of the Mandalorian people lives on. Death Watch armor. Death Watch armor is worn by a radical group of Mandalorians who believed in returning to their warrior roots. They rejected peace, diplomacy, and everything the new Mandalorian stood for. Instead, they wanted Mandalore to be strong again through combat and conquest, the old ways. Their armor shows that attitude perfectly. It's similar in shape to traditional Beskar gum, same helmet design, chest plates, gauntlets, jetpack, but with a darker, more aggressive look. Most of the time, Death Watch warriors wore blue and gray color schemes with black detailing and sharp angles. Their helmets sometimes had jagged patterns or extra ridges to make them look more intimidating. The armor was still made with Beskar when they could get it, but since Death Watch operated as a fringe group, not everyone had access to pure Beskar. Some had mixed material armor or older reclaimed sets. Even so, the armor was fully combat ready and packed with tech: flamethrowers, grappling lines, jetpacks, and targeting systems. Pre-Vizsla, the group's leader, wore one of the most notable Death Watch sets. He also wielded the Darksaber, a black-bladed lightsaber originally made by Tari Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi. That weapon made him a symbol of Mandalorian power and tradition, and his armor reflected that. After his death, Bo-Katan Kryze took over leadership of the group. Bo-Katan originally wore Death Watch armor as well, a blue-gray set with the owl insignia of her elite squad, the Night Owls. Her gear was lighter and faster, designed for precision strikes and infiltration. Death Watch armor wasn't just about protection, it was propaganda. The design told you who they were and what they stood for: strength, fear, and the return of Mandalore's warrior culture. When they allied with Darth Maul, they even repainted some armor red and black to reflect his control over the group. Eventually, Death Watch fractured. Some followed Maul, others turned against him, and a few, like Bo-Katan, became part of the Mandalorian resistance. So Death Watch armor represents a turning point. It's tied to Mandalore's civil wars, to the rise and fall of leaders, and to the tension between tradition and honor. Tough, tactical, and full of history, this armor means business. Imperial Super Commando armor. Imperial Super Commando armor was worn by Mandalorians who swore loyalty to the Galactic Empire. These weren't just Mandos working for the Empire. They gave up their heritage to become elite enforcers for it. The armor reflects that shift perfectly. Instead of the usual colorful custom Mandalorian style, this armor was clean, all white, with red T-visors and sharp, intimidating lines. The design looks like a mix between Mandalorian and Stormtrooper armor. It still has the same basic layout: helmet, chest plates, gauntlets, leg armor, jetpack, but it's clearly built for unity and fear. Every soldier looks exactly the same. No clan markings, no personal paint jobs, just Imperial control. The man behind this armor was Gar Saxon, a former member of Death Watch who became the Imperial Viceroy of Mandalore. He betrayed his people, sided with the Empire, and led these super commandos during the occupation of Mandalore. He wore a red and white version of the armor to stand out as their leader, but the regular troopers were uniform in appearance. As for materials, these suits weren't full Beskar. They likely used Imperial-grade Durasteel with some Beskar components. That means they weren't as indestructible as traditional Mandalorian armor, but they were still tough and definitely high quality. The focus was on speed, precision, and squad tactics over individual survival. Weapons-wise, the Super Commandos kept the basics: blasters, jetpacks, and some wrist weapons, but they operated more like Stormtrooper special forces than classic Mandalorian warriors. The Empire trained them to fight in formation, follow orders without question, and crush resistance fast. You see these guys in Star Wars Rebels, especially during the Mandalorian arc with Sabine Wren. They fight against the true Mandalorians who are trying to take back their culture and planet. Sabine, along with Clan Wren and Bo-Katan, sees them as traitors, Mandalorians who abandoned honor for power. Armorer's ceremonial armor is worn by the armorer of the Children of the Watch, the secretive Mandalorian sect seen in The Mandalorian. This armor is both ceremonial and functional, designed to reflect the armorer's leadership role while maintaining the traditional Mandalorian aesthetic. The armor features a distinctive gold color, which sets it apart from the standard Mandalorian sets. The helmet is crafted with intricate designs, making it unique among Mandalorians. The armorer's helmet also has special markings that represent her status and connection to the sect. It's highly polished, showing both prestige and the importance of the armorer's role as a leader and mentor. The chest plate is similarly detailed, with some parts appearing more ornate compared to regular Mandalorian armor. The armor is made of Beskar, ensuring maximum protection, especially given that the armorer often engages in crafting and forging Beskar gam for others, using her role to maintain Mandalorian tradition and discipline. While the ceremonial armor is lighter in decoration compared to some combat-focused Mandalorian armor, it's still highly protective and effective for battle if needed. The armorer's tools, like a hammer and tongs, are also part of her ceremonial attire, representing her role as both a warrior and a blacksmith. The armor also signifies the armorer's leadership within the Children of the Watch, a faction that follows the strict Mandalorian creed of never removing their helmets. As a key figure in their society, the armorer's ceremonial armor is symbolic of her authority and the deep connection she has to Mandalorian tradition. Clan Wren armor is unique and colorful, worn by members of Clan Wren, most famously Sabine Wren from Star Wars Rebels. The armor is vibrant with purple, green, and yellow accents, reflecting the clan's history and personal choices. Sabine's armor, for example, is painted with personal symbols and artwork, showing her creative side. Like all Mandalorian armor, it includes the helmet, chest and shoulder plates, gauntlets, and leg protection, but with more custom designs and insignias. Sabine's set has extra detailing and a custom fit for her, blending artistic flair with combat readiness. The armor is made from Beskar, offering strong protection against blasters and other weapons. Sabine's gauntlets come equipped with tools like flamethrowers, grenades, and even a paint bomb launcher. These tech enhancements made her an unpredictable and dangerous fighter. Clan Wren's armor also has deep meaning. Ursa Wren, Sabine's mother, wore a traditional set, but Sabine's armor represents her personal journey, combining family ties with her role in the Rebel Alliance and Mandalore's resistance. Sabine's story with the armor is about balancing loyalty, creativity, and fighting for freedom. Night Owl's armor was worn by an elite group of Mandalorian women led by Bo-Katan Kryze. This armor was lighter and more agile than standard Mandalorian gear, built for speed, stealth, and precision attacks, perfect for elite missions. It kept the classic Mandalorian design: helmet, chest plate, gauntlets, jetpack, but with a sleeker style. The helmets had a unique owl-like design with sharp lines around the visor and an owl symbol painted on. Most of the armor was blue-gray with silver highlights, and each set was custom-fitted. Bo-Katan's armor had a unique breastplate and the night owl sigil on her helmet and shoulders. The night owls often used Beskar, especially Bo-Katan, but not all armor was pure Beskar. The gear included standard Mandalorian tech: flamethrowers, grappling hooks, jetpacks, and built-in comms and targeting in the helmets. They started off as part of Death Watch, but when Pre Vizsla teamed up with Darth Maul, Bo-Katan refused to follow an outsider. She broke away and formed the Night Owls into a resistance group. They helped lead the siege of Mandalore, with Ahsoka Tano fighting to free their planet. In The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan and fellow Night Owl Casca Reeves returned to battle Imperial remnants. They're highly skilled, disciplined, and loyal to Mandalorian tradition. But they remove their helmets, showing they follow a different creed than Din Djarin. Night Owl's armor isn't just for show. It's a symbol of elite Mandalorian fighters who don't back down, even when their own people are divided. Foundling Training Armor. Foundling Training Armor is the basic armor worn by Mandalorian foundlings, young warriors in training before they earn their full Mandalorian gear. This armor is designed to be lightweight, simple, and protective enough for training, without the heavy features of standard Mandalorian armor. The armor is typically made of durasteel rather than Beskar, making it less durable but still able to withstand basic combat. The design is minimalistic, often consisting of a basic helmet, chest plate, and shoulder guards, with no additional weaponry or advanced tech like flamethrowers or jetpacks. The color is usually a neutral tone, like gray or brown, reflecting the fact that it's not personalized yet. These training sets are meant for younger Mandalorians, like Din Djarin in The Mandalorian, who wore this type of armor when he was a foundling taken in by the Children of the Watch. The armor helps them learn combat techniques, discipline, and the basics of Mandalorian survival in a safe environment before earning the right to wear the full Beskar gam. As they progress in their training, foundlings can upgrade their armor and eventually earn Beskar plates, marking their transition from a trainee to a full-fledged Mandalorian warrior. Neo-Crusader Armor. Mandalorian Neo-Crusader armor was worn by the Neo-Crusaders, a faction of Mandalorians during the Mandalorian Wars. This armor is known for its distinctive, military-heavy design, which made it more functional and intimidating for large-scale combat. The armor's design was bulkier than the traditional Mandalorian look, with thicker armor plating and a more angular shape. It featured a T-shaped visor helmet, just like standard Mandalorian armor, but the overall look was more aggressive, designed for mass warfare rather than individual flair. The color scheme varied, but it often included red, gray, or black. Made from a mix of durasteel and Beskar, this armor was highly resistant to blaster fire and explosions, crucial for the battles of the Mandalorian Wars. However, unlike later Mandalorian armor, which would use more Beskar, Neo-Crusader armor was more about sheer durability in large numbers. The Neo-Crusaders were led by Mandalore the Ultimate, who used the armor to unite the Mandalorian clans for their wars against the Jedi and the Galactic Republic. This armor represented the shift in Mandalorian culture from individualism to a more militaristic and conquest-driven mindset. Weapons like blasters, vibroblades, and grenades were common, and their helmets often had built-in targeting systems for enhanced battlefield coordination. The Neo-Crusaders weren't just warriors, they were part of a larger military force, with the armor reflecting that need for uniformity and strength.